This video was suggested to me, and I think this is super interesting. Why I'm living in my car, making the most of the housing crisis. All this like van life and people live in their RVs and live in different ways, I think is really interesting. And I mean, I never lived in a car, but I've lived in different living situations, right? That are not normal. And, you know, had to do the whole shower at the gym thing. I did it for a period of time for sure. And there's definitely positives to it. So we'll see what this guy says about it.
Welcome back, everybody. So why do I live in my 4Runner? There is one reason that kind of got me into it, but there's a lot of reasons that keep me in it, and a couple things that really suck about it, and I'm going to talk about those too. But this video is for anybody who's just wondering why I'm doing this, and also anybody who is either decided to move into their vehicle or has had no choice. This might help you kind of wrap your mind around it. If you don't have a why.
Okay, before we even get into that, everybody's already going to say this cat looks like Anthony Kiedis, right? So there's that. Let's get that out of the way. We don't need to talk about that. I get told all the time that people come up to me, Wayne's World, and all this other, like, I've been called so many things, and I personally hate when people do it. I hate it because I'm just like, I don't literally look like that, but you details matter. But if you just look at the guy real fast, obviously it's like, oh yeah, he looks like Anthony Kiedis. But even more than that, what I want to bring up is the whole thing about mustaches have made such a comeback. It's shocking to me because I'm just like, they still look scummy. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. I'm just like, oh God, just grow the rest of it. Like, grow the rest of it. What? Or don't, or shave it all. Grow the rest of it or shave it all. So anyways, yeah, people can do what they want. I'm just messing around. Anyways, yeah, people and their mustaches today. Jesus. Anyways.
It's gonna suck probably. For most people, I think it's gonna suck. I'm very adventure focused. Most people seem to be driven by security and stability and predictability, and those things are like soul death for me. I need newness and adventure and challenge and change and even a little bit of chaos. So this lifestyle kind of works for me in that way. Kind of the over-glaring easy answer is that I'm just priced out of the rental market. I just got a full-time job making almost $22 an hour, working full-time, and I've got this side gig, the YouTube channel, that makes me a little bit of money, and I still don't qualify for an apartment in my area.
Where do you
rents
live?
are just too damn high. Everything is so expensive now, and that is what it is.
Where does this guy live?
I don't really think that's going to change anytime soon. So that is kind of numero uno, the easy, obvious one. And then also, like I said, just a sense of adventure. I can, one of the big perks is that if I get stuck in a job that I don't like or I get laid off, we just got the jobs report, and now there are more people looking for work than there are jobs available. So I'm super lucky to even have a job right now. I'm gonna count myself lucky on that, let alone a side gig that makes a little bit extra money that I actually like really enjoy too. But if I were to get laid off, I don't have to come up with, $2,000 plus a month for my living expenses. My living expenses are super low.
Huge.
So also,
that is a major plus of doing this type of thing.
The manager that I have, I've met him. He seems like a really cool guy. He seems like a really good person to work for. But if he leaves and we get a new manager and he's a total dick and I don't want to work there anymore, I can leave. I'm not stuck in a situation. So I've got freedom. I can also, if I decide to leave that job and I want to move to a different city where there's more jobs, that are available for the type of work I want, or I just want to move to a different area, I can just pick up and do that. I'm not locked into a lease.
Yeah.
I'm not locked into a super high monthly expenses I have to come up with. It's also a lot easier for me to save money and to have a nice big fat savings in case something happens, or I want to move, or I want to buy a travel trailer so I can move into an RV park and have a home base in a new town where living in a car is really difficult because of the weather, like Bend, like I'd like to eventually do. So I've got that freedom as well. I've got the ability to pay off debts most people are one paycheck away from being homeless and being in their car, and most people are not super financially smart. We all make stupid financial decisions. I am not immune from that. And the ability to work full-time and save a bunch of money and be able to get out of debt super fast is just right there.
So I went to college in Boston, graduated college, lived in Boston a grand total of 9 years. 4 years college, 5 years out of college. And towards the end of my time living in Boston, I moved into a rehearsal space, right? I already had a rehearsal space, right? Where I held jam sessions and I learned how to record, and we were writing and recording a lot, working on songs and doing all that. I just moved in because the plan was to move to Los Angeles and I wanted to save money, and I was making good money. Right. I was in a wedding band. I was playing all kinds of other gigs. I played at a church. I was teaching. I was making good money. And the rent at the rehearsal space was like $300. There was a period where I was splitting it with somebody else and it was $150. So for a bit of that, I was only paying $150. And man, I saved $16,000. I didn't have debt. I saved $16,000 for when I moved to LA, moving to nothing, right? I had no gig that I was going to. I knew I was going to just burn through that cash, which I did, right? But I had it, and that was huge. If I didn't have it, it would have been so much harder. Even as it was, when I moved to LA, I burned through literally all of that money before I got a gig that held me up, right? Which I mean, it was like I'm just looking at the account, and those last couple months where I'm just like, oh god, it's about like, what am I gonna do, and it was like at the last hour. Anyways, but really, I was able to save so aggressively, right? Pay off debt, save super aggressively when you do this kind of thing. It's definitely worth it, in my opinion. I'm not saying do it forever. I'm saying if you could do it to get ahead, you have to make sacrifices to, there are trade-offs for all of it. And I definitely think it's worth it. I was in my 20s. I was what, in my mid 20s when I was doing it. So totally, I don't know how old this guy is. He doesn't look that old. So he could be in his 20s also. So definitely worth it.
Originally I moved in to the 4Runner because I wanted to get my YouTube channel going full time, and I thought that it could pay for the car payment for this 4Runner.
Oh, he's got a car payment. 4Runner's not cheap.
And plus, the gas money, food money, and occasionally buying supplies and stuff once I got this thing paid off. And it just never happened. The income isn't there with the YouTube channel, but it's a really good side gig, and I can go get a full-time job and work that. And luckily, my job is 410s and has 30 days of PTO per year, so I could take a couple big trips, and I can go out on weekend trips, and it's going to work out really well where I can do both. So that's really going to work well. I hope I'm going the right way. I think I am. So that's going to work out. Another thing is because I don't have the big monthly expensive housing, I can just go out on trips. This morning I woke up and I waited for a call to get the final answer on whether or not I got that job, and luckily I did. And I decided, you know what? I'm gonna take the day off, and I'm just gonna go, because I've been doing Uber Eats for money besides the YouTube thing. I'm gonna take the day off and go check out a waterfall. So I just Googled waterfall in Google Maps, and just found this one, and I just drove down 45 minutes down to get here. Just went on an epic little hike. Here's the footage from that. I'll play it on the side. It's a vertical video anyway. And just had a great time, man. So now I'm gonna go to another town. I'm gonna go to Silver Falls State Park, which isn't too far away, and go check out some more waterfalls and get some hiking in, and then I'll drive back to the Portland area and
so he's
do some more driving, probably for dinner rush tonight. Oh, nope, it's already 4 o'clock. I'll have to do it tomorrow. So I've got freedom to go out and do the stuff I want to do. If I was locked into a job, man, the way the rental prices are now, and mortgage, I wouldn't be able to go out and do the stuff I really enjoy every weekend, and go out on hikes and go do the stuff I want to do. So the freedom the adventure, the ability to get ahead financially and save up and really get myself in a good spot. You know, it looks like we're going into a recession, and being out of debt and having cash on hand to buy the stuff I've been wanting that's been overpriced, I've got a feeling that real estate's going to come down. It might be a good opportunity to get some real estate. There's all kinds of cool farmland out in places like this where, you know, if I found a spot I really like and I could figure out who owns the land and, you know, offer them, you know, a nice down payment and seller financing on like 5 acres. If someone owns 400 acres or something, I just want a little corner lot, you know, you can offer seller financing and a nice down payment. Times are getting tough, and I think that people are going to be more willing to sell land, and you know, might be able to just find a little spot that's zoned residential, maybe a house burnt down, or they had a rundown property or something and they just want to get rid of it, and they could use some extra money. This might be the right time for that. Look at this beautiful place I'm at, man. Gorgeous out here. I'm so glad summer's over. Oh man, I'm gonna be complaining about the rain in no time. So that's kind of it, man. Those are the main reasons. It works for me. There are times that I hate it. One of the big challenges is getting a good night's sleep. It's rare that I sleep the whole night through. If it's not the goddamn leaf blowers, man, those leaf blowers, that's 2025. No, why are they still so loud? And why are they always at 6 o'clock in the morning? I can't stand them. Maybe that's my calling, is to invent noiseless leaf blowers.
So, you know, like I said, I was in a rehearsal space, so it was like in a building, and it was in like the basement. Like there was only an AC, there wasn't heat, but because we were underground, even in the winter, you didn't need heat because we were underground. But you needed the AC. AC was running all the time. It was hot down there. Noise, I mean, it was a rehearsal space, so anybody can come in and just start playing drums or music at any point in time. It wasn't really, I don't remember it being that bad. And how did I sleep? Obviously, I didn't sleep on a bed. There was no bed. It was a really tiny room, right? It was super tiny. I had a giant oversized chair, right? Like a just a one person chair, but it was oversized. And I just slept on that. My blanket was a literal packing blanket. I was in my mid-20s. I could do that. I would do it again in a heartbeat. It was actually a great time in my life, for sure. I would do it again in a heartbeat. Just the amount of savings and freedom that, you know, this guy's talking about. You don't need to make as much. All that, all this gives you the freedom to make other choices and do other things that other people can't do. Like, I'm in a period in my life right now where just where I'm at, I'm more locked into things, right? I have a kid, I have a wife, I have, like, you know, just different stuff like that. We would need to uproot and change a lot of different things in order to kind of, you know, shift things around and get a little bit more freedom in some areas, but it would be more restrictive in other areas. You know, it's what it is. There's the trade-off every single time. I think it's definitely worth it. I would do it again in a heartbeat. Totally would do it again. But yeah, I lived in I slept on a couch, and there was a gym literally across the street that I paid for. And I would wake up, I would take my gym bag, I would go across the street, and I would work out. I did work out. I didn't just shower, right? I would work out, then I would shower, and I would do whatever. I would shave, I would do whatever I gotta do, and then I would come back, and then I'd get to work. I'd wake up whenever, 6 in the morning, 7, 6:30, go to the gym, shower, come back, get to work, do whatever I gotta do, go teach, go do a gig, you know, practice. I was practicing like mad back then, like all of it. It was definitely great. So doing it in your car, I'm not experienced with that. I don't know where you would stay. I've done it like on trips. Like when we moved to Florida from California, we didn't get hotel rooms. I just mostly drove the whole time. But if I needed to sleep, I would just pull into one of those rest areas and sleep for as long as I could, which usually wasn't that long. And then I'd get back on the road. I've done that kind of thing, but not like, okay, I'm going to just stealth sleep in a Walmart parking lot or something like that. I haven't I haven't done that.
But anyway, if it's not that, it's cars driving by, or if I'm in a parking lot, it's cars with loud bass waking me up.
You gotta go to sleep earlier.
Or something. I don't really get the knock in this vehicle. This thing's insanely stealthy, and nobody bothers me. Where I park, I look like I belong, and I don't really get bothered. I've had a couple times where I've gotten kicked out. One time in a hospital parking garage, which was kind of my fault. I was in a parking garage with my window screen in. It's before I had fans, so windows were all fogged up. I was super obvious with it. That's my fault. And then the other time was at Planet Fitness parking lot. I was parked for like 20 minutes and power tripping G.I. Joe looking security guard that probably got bullied in high school. Big jacked guy with tactical vest and tactical pants and his army pants tucked into his tactical boots and stuff. Kicked me out, just trying to feel like a hot shot guy. Anyway, that's really the only problems I've had. And then being subject to the weather. You know, in the summer it's hot. I live in Northwest Oregon in the Portland area, so it's really easy for me to get out in the mountains and go to the coast. Working this job that I've got this summer is going to be a little trickier. Might have to figure something out for that, somewhere to plug in with AC or something, but I'm working the hottest part of the day. So, and then in the winter, it doesn't really get that cold in Willamette Valley, and I'm going to figure out my diesel heater so when I go out camping on the weekends up in the mountains, I can be up in the snow, which would be good because there will be a lot less people out there, and I can hook up my diesel heater in here and in my tent. So that'll work out. But those are the main cons. And then just running out, you know, I made a video about the homeless situation and how that affects van life. We're kind of running out of parking areas. It's tougher, but with something this stealthy, I'm gonna.
And there already was an intense amount of homeless people in Portland. Like Portland, Oregon is like, I've been to Portland one time, and that was like I was actually living in Boston at the time. I went out to visit Portland. Even then, there was like the amount of homeless and like the homeless people with dogs, I remember, and the young homeless, right? Like young homeless people, not just like, you know, middle-aged or older homeless people. We're talking about like young people. And you're just like, and I remember going down in Portland and like all the shops and places, like it was like people didn't work. I just remember shops, their hours were like horrible. And I was just like, they're not working half the day. Like they close in midday and they're not working half the time. And it's like, they don't open until 10 or 11. And then they close at 4 or 3 or, you know, just random things like that. And I just remember thinking, this was like mid 2000s when I went there. Yeah, mid 2000s, 20 years ago. Yeah, I can't imagine what it is now. Oh boy.
Gonna be fine. I'm gonna be totally fine. So it's not really that big of an issue. It's just something to complain about, really. And then they're talking, the president's talking about sending the National Guard to Portland. I don't go in.
All right, we don't gotta. All right. Yeah, we don't gotta get into all this. Why he's living in the car and making the most of the housing crisis. I mean, I think that for somebody like this, I think it's, again, I would do it in a heartbeat. I think it's smart. Save your money so that you can make your next move, right? It's just going to put you in a better position for when you make your next move. You know, I mean, for me, when I was doing it, something similar to this, I knew I was making a move and I was preparing for it. So something like that, I think this is perfect for, whether you know you're living in an RV or in your car, or like I was living in a rehearsal in a commercial building, basically in a place where you were not legally supposed to be sleeping and living, but I was super stealthy about it, like super. You could go into the room that I was staying in and not know somebody was staying there. It looked like a rehearsal studio. There was a drum set, there was a desk with the whole computer set up and recording gear and a bass amp and a keyboard and a PA system and like gear, you know, just gear everywhere, stuff like that. You wouldn't have known, right? You would have had to poke around a little bit deeper. And I was away enough because I was working a lot, right? I had a lot of gigs. I was working a lot. And also when I was there, I was also working a lot, right? So I think that for a period of your life to do it, I think it's totally worth it. And I would absolutely positively do it again. 100%. I would do it again in whatever way that would be, whether that's in an RV or in a car, probably, hopefully not. I would take an RV over. I would probably go the RV route as opposed to the car route. at this point in my life, or some other whatever other way I could think of that would make sense, I would probably do that. So anyways, definitely worth it. Makes sense to me, and I think is super beneficial. Yeah, I would do it again.